welcome to the one and only Team 2.
Hey guys, how we doing? Welcome to It's not walking boxing, is it? It's talking boxing. I'm used to saying that every day, so apologies about that. It is talking boxing. And what is the day? It's Monday. Hang on, where's my phone? Monday, June the 30th, 2025. And yeah, I say walking boxing 7 days a week, so forgive me if I do get it wrong occasionally. But great to have you all along. A little bit going on in the boxing world. What did we make of the weekend's fights with our old mate Jake Paul? I can see already, I haven't had a real good look through your comments there, but I can see a few of you have mentioned it. So we will discuss it, of course. What do we think of Deontay Wilder, Christian and Billy? A little bit going on, a little bit of the back and forth still with Canelo and Crawford, and our old mate Oscar De La Hoya with Ryan Garcia. What's happening there as well? What is going on with those guys? Anyway, if you're new to the show, the way this works is you put your comments, questions, opinions, whatever it might be in the chat, and we will, as it says there, talk some boxing. All right, now let's get into it. I'm just going to see if I can bring up the actual chat here. Hang on, because as usual, all these comments are all over the place. Oh, hang on. That's me in the background there. All right, the comments. Where are we? I'll just get rid of that so we can get the order right. Get off there. All right, here we go. Garden snake variety is first off the mark. And I'm going to do my best to find your comments here. What's that one there? No, I don't know. Is there some comments missing there? Oh, all right, here we go. All right, Garden Snake. If you aren't here at the Boxing Deep Dive headquarters, what are you even doing with your life? The Australian legend, Lynden. I appreciate that, Garden Snake. I wouldn't go that far, mate, but I appreciate you tuning in like everyone. And again, don't be shy with your comments. Let them go. That's what we're all here for. Where are we? This is going to be a bit hard. I'm going to just have to wing it and just hopefully they sort themselves out, guys. Julian, where are you? Here he is. Jake Paul is too scared to call out Jai Opetaia at cruiserweight. World Entertainment Boxing. Yes, that is exactly right, mate. It's not World Wrestling Entertainment. It's World Boxing Entertainment. He didn't mention his name, did he, Jake Paul? He mentioned Davis. He mentioned Joshua. He mentioned Ramirez. I'm not sure he mentioned Badu Jack, not on the live interview anyway, but he did not say Jai Opetaia's name, and I don't blame him. I wouldn't be mentioning Jai Opetaia's name. He hasn't earned the right to name Jai Opetaia. So Jake Paul would, and look, that's the other thing. And if you didn't see D-Style this morning, I was on there talking about all this with him. If you haven't seen his channel, make sure you check it out, D-Style Boxing. And we were talking about it, and it was, I think, one of the most pathetic, pitiful fights I think I've ever seen. Well, pitiful performances from Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. How he could, with a straight face, be interviewed after the fight in the change rooms and say, yeah, well, I think I won 3, 4, 5 rounds, whatever it was, and it was close, and this and that. I didn't get... Mate, you didn't throw a punch for nearly 8 rounds. Ridiculous. And I cannot believe he's come from the loins of the great Chavez Sr. Ridiculous. Did anyone see... I hadn't seen this myself. Did anyone see Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. get up on the ring apron? D-Style showed me this morning, and I wasn't aware of it. I didn't watch the fight. I just watched the replay later, so of course I didn't see it live. But Julio Sr. actually got up on the ring apron mid-fight when he's in the ring, in the corner, getting tended to by whoever is his corner. And he jumped up in the ring, and he was pissed. And you could see, I think he was pointing, and attendant or the commission representative, whatever it is, in the corner overseeing things, trying to say, "Hey, Julio, you can't be in here. You got to get out." And Julio he wasn't happy at all. Now, he could have actually gotten Junior disqualified right there and then, just by getting up on the ring apron. But I think they took a little bit of leniency on Senior, but just farcical scenes, it really was. And he would have to be just like, how did this guy be spawned from me? How did this guy, who, with all his issues and problems, and he's just not cut out to be a boxer? But anyway, it must have been frustrating for him. All right, still, I'll continue on here, guys. Apologies for the first bit. These comments are all out of whack. Tony Little, baldy-headed bloke who refereed many of Mike Tyson's fights. Last name Lane. You're talking about Mills Lane, are you, Julian? I think he left us a couple of years ago, didn't he, Mills Lane? One of the best. I used to love it. Let's get ready to rumble. No, it wasn't. No, let's get it on. That's what he said. Let's get it on. Come on. Used to love that. And that's the way you hype up a fight. Just with the referee. They all try and come up with their own little things these days, just like the announcers do in the ring as well, with their stupid little catchphrases they come up with. But I used to love Mills Lane with "Let's get it on, come on." And he used to always say, what do you say? Any questions for the challenger or his chief second? And any questions from the champion of his chief second? I'll spit that out. All right, let's get it on. I wonder if anyone actually asked a question. I never have seen anyone do it. The only time I've actually ever seen it was, I think, Antonio Tarver, wasn't it? When he asked Roy Jones Jr. whether he was going to have any excuses that night. And I think the referee actually wasn't happy. Well, mate, you asked the question. he just answered it. So anyway, all right. Cal Jane, how are you, Cal? Hey, mate, Zurdo looked unconditioned and flat-footed. I think Jai will make a mess of him. Yeah, look, again, I said on the just mute that. I just said again this morning that that I'm more convinced than ever that Jai Opetaia makes a mess of Zurdo Ramirez. He's too slow. Look, it's a Mexican trait. I get that. They're always tough and hard, and you will never be in an easy fight with a Mexican, but they also have this trait of being slow with their hands and their feet. It's just the way they are. I can't explain it. It's just the way it's drilled into them at an early age. It's about, being brave and being a warrior and getting inside and hooking and ripping and all that sort of stuff. It's not necessarily built on, let's just say, the Floyd Mayweather school of footwork and hand speed and skills. So, and that's just the culture, and there's nothing wrong with it because they're probably the greatest boxing nation on earth. But I'm with you there, Cal Jane. He did look unconditioned. And as I said, he's just way too slow to catch Jai. I know the argument is that Jai can tend to, what would you call it, fade down the track of a fight. But the only evidence we've got of that is the Breeders' fights. And geez, I mean, Breeders has one hell of a fighter, arguably beat Alexander Usyk, gave him a hell of a fight. And what people forget is that Jai pretty much punched himself out in those fights by just dominating for, 8 or 9 rounds, whatever it was, before Breeders sort of kicked into gear and he had to survive a little bit. I just think Jai's come a long way from those fights, even though he had 3 or 4 fights since the last one. But I just think he has matured as a fighter, as a champion, and I think he makes Zurdo look a little bit silly, if I'm being honest. Zurdo, I don't think, well, I won't say it's going to be an easy fight, but I think the scorecards will be wide. That's what I think will happen there. What else? Running Amok 1989. I'm not sure whether you've been on here before, mate, but thanks for the comment. Liam Wilson performed good on Wednesday, but I honestly see him in a similar way to Zarafa. He beats everyone on the domestic and regional belt level, but he'll never be good enough to be world class. Look, it's not a bad comment there, Running Amok. We'll call you Muck. Look, I've always said that about Michael Zarafa. He's too good for domestic level and not good enough for international level. I'm not so sure about Liam. You might be right. I don't think it's to the extent of Michael Zarafa, though. I mean, Michael has been beaten conclusively every time he stepped up in opposition. We went to Russia and lost a shutout decision there. That was early in his career, though. Carried out on a stretcher against Peter Quillen when they fought. Again, he was only a young fighter. Cal Brook barely won a round against Cal Brook till late. And, of course, Erislandia Lara got him out of there in 2 short rounds. So But on the other hand, excuse me, on the other hand, he's performed quite well here in Australia. Liam Wilson, on the other hand, I will give him credit. He had Navarrete gone. And apart from the nearly 30-second count that Navarrete got, you would arguably that Wilson would have been the world champion. And Valdez, I thought he actually acquitted himself really well in that fight. So I wouldn't go so far as to say Liam's in the same category as Michael Zarafa, but the fact of the matter is, mate, is he just hasn't been able to get the job done, and I suppose we can't hide behind that. But I'm just hoping he gets another crack at it. By all accounts, it looks like he's going to get another shot at a world title, and let's hope he can this time bring the belt home. And hopefully Michael Zarafa gets another shot at it as well. All right, Aussie officials show their incompetence again. Chris Condon made two big mistakes. He didn't tell Vegas body shots. He didn't call Vegas' body shot on Filipino a knockdown, and he called the head clash cut in main event a cut by punch. Mate, I agree 100% with you there, Muck. I didn't really take any notice of the referee being Chris Condon. The body shot was there. Look, the thing is with the body shot, I think he could see that Vegas Larfield had clearly won the fight up to that point. And if you look at it carefully, it was just a sort of a counter right uppercut sort of to the body, wasn't it? Or a right rip to the body. I just think where the referee was, maybe he just didn't see it and thought it was low or whatever it was, and that's why I didn't give him a count. We've all got the benefit of the TV screens and the replays and all that sort of stuff. So I think if it had been close, it might have been a different story. But the fact it was one-sided, I don't see much point in calling him out. But the cut, I'm with you there. I commented about this on Walking Boxing the other day, that the cut was right in the middle of his head. And this is, what's his name? Navarro. Now, the cuts like that don't necessarily happen by a punch to the head right here. Very rarely do you see a fighter get hit right square in the middle of the head, because normally they're slipping, they're weaving, they've got head movement. So it'd have to be a pretty good punch. Normally you always see him on the side of the eyes because, of course, the punches are coming in from the side. And you don't really see straight punches causing cuts. It was obvious that it was a headbutt. They did come together a couple of times in that first round, and cuts like that, probably 99 times out of 100, probably more, 999 out of 1,000 are going to be by an accidental headbutt, or sometimes a deliberate headbutt. But it was pretty obvious, Mark, that it was a headbutt. Obviously didn't count too much in the end, but I would have thought the referee, well, without even sort of seeing it, I mean, I didn't really see it myself, but it's almost, just science or physics, whatever you might want to call it. That is what happens. You watch a lot of boxing, and that is always where the cuts happen, or if a cut does happen right in the middle of the head, it's caused by a headbutt, or an elbow in Tim Tszયુ's case. There's Eminem. How are you, mate? Welcome to the show. Is it official Jake Paul ranked with the WBA at cruiserweight? Well, the rankings haven't been updated yet, Garden Snake, but by all accounts, that is exactly what's going to happen. And so at the moment, at cruiserweight in the WBA, so Ramirez is the champion. Dorticos or however you pronounce it, was number one. He'll obviously be out. That means Arsen Goulamirian will be the number one challenger. I have no knowledge of him whatsoever. So the big question is where he comes into the rankings. But either way, he's going to be eligible for a world title shot, which is just unbelievable. But hey, this is the world we live in these days with boxing. It's not just a business anymore. It is show business. So by being Jake Paul and fighting literally nobody, then you'll get yourself a world title shot. It's just crazy. What's that? Tony, who am I? Born 1937, passed away 2022. Boxed while serving as a Marine, district attorney, and judge, and a boxing referee. I'm sure you... Oh, yeah, catchphrase, let's get it on. Yeah, well, that's obviously Mills Lane. There he is. All right, Tom's dad, Naz. It's worth watching a Liam Parro fight, is it? Just to listen to Alfie DiCarlo's corner work. He's one of the best in the business. Helps when your fighter listens as well as Parro does, of course. I'm with you there, Naz. He doesn't really get a lot of kudos, does Alfie DiCarlo, Naz. I'm not sure how many other fighters he's got, if any, apart from Liam, but you can see the trust and the respect between two of those guys. And it reminds me a little bit of Freddie Roach and his fighters. Now, a lot of people think that Freddie Roach is this, this magician in the corner and this orchestrator, whatever you might call it, just being able to make magic happen. And he has this presence or whatever you might, this sixth sense or whatever it is with his fighters. It's nothing like that. I've seen him in action. I know it's in the gym, but watching him with his fighters in the gym up close and personal, same thing, that mutual respect, love, whatever you might want to call it. And it's just understanding what each other, or it's a fighter understanding what Freddie Roach is getting at. It's Freddie Roach understanding the capabilities of his fighter and working with him, not yelling and screaming and carrying on, or whisper in the ear, or a subtle little talk to him between rounds will get the job done. And that's where I see Alfie DiCarlo as well. Not saying he's Freddie Roach, but a similar type of thing. Where Alfie DiCarlo, I'm not sure he's got a lot of experience in the boxing world, being in top-level fights, but obviously you don't need that. He's got Liam Parro's trust. He knows what he's talking about. All the advice that he actually gives is very, very good advice. And you can see that Liam Parro responds to it, and is on his way to another world title shot. So I'm with you there, mate. And he's one of the best in the business, as you say there. All right, Naz, what do you got there? Hang on, I'll just move that down. I'll probably be on my own here, but I personally really like Zurafa in commentary. Much prefer him calling the fight than in one, especially when the alternatives is listening to Peter Badal's drivel. I'm with you there, Naz. I actually quite enjoyed Michael Zurafa's commentary the other night. I thought it was great. I mean, he's well spoken. I thought everything that he pointed out in the fight was exactly what I was thinking. And he put the viewers in the fighter's perspective in a lot of the occasions, and obviously knows what he's talking about. It does help. It does sort of help to be a boxing person and know what you're talking about. It's all good to have, the article in the paper or whatever it is, to be a journalist and whatever it might be. Just because you're writing about boxing doesn't mean you know what you're talking about. So I'm with you there, Naz, and maybe you are in the minority there. Maybe we are, but I'm with you. I actually thought Michael Zurafa did a really good job in the commentary, and maybe we'll see a little bit more of him once his career is over. But Peter Badal, look, I've been very critical of Peter Badal over the journey. If you watch his channel, you know that I've made fun of him on numerous occasions and taken the piss a fair bit with him. Look, his heart's in the right spot. He has a bit of a go. He tries to get excited about it. The problem is that he is one of those journalists. He's like Itchman back there. It's just unfortunately he's just not knowledgeable in the sport. Now, he speaks well. I think he articulates himself really well. As I said, he tries to get people excited and make some comments to roll people up. But the problem is he just doesn't really know enough about the sport. And that's why I miss the guys like Barry Michael. Jeff Fennick's another one. I know Jeff Fennick does tend to maybe divide a few fans out there who maybe don't like his commentary, but I think Barry Michael is exceptional as far as being an expert commentator. I think Ben Damon he gets a bit of flack as well, but I think he does a really good job of hosting the event, being just the basic shot caller during the fight, but then when it needs to get a little bit more in depth, he passes it off to someone like a Michael Zurafa who knows what he's talking about, who can really then go a little bit deeper than just stating the obvious that Ben Damon does. Maybe a Ben Damon, Michael Zurafa, Barry Michael combination would be the best one out there. But yeah, I didn't think it was too bad, Naz, for sure. Eminem, the less said about yesterday's clown show main event, and the two clowns in it, the better. I'm with you there, Eminem. Look, I must admit, I did get caught up in the whole thing as far as doing a couple of walking boxing episodes about it. Well, of course, we're talking about it now. But simply because it got so much traction on the mainstream boxing sites. Everywhere you went, all the major sites all had major stories on it, lead stories about it, where the YouTubers doing all their things about it, all their previews and, putting their input into it, all that sort of stuff that I sort of felt the need to sort of comment on it about as well. I actually had a few people say, why don't you comment on the fight? Well, if you watch yesterday's fight, whether it be live or afterwards, you'll understand why I wanted to give it nothing. It was like you said there, it was a clown show main event. Jake Paul cannot fight. He cannot fight. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. back in his day, I suppose could fight. Yes, he held some sort of version of the world title and gave Sergio Martinez a half decent fight amongst others. But that was 10 years ago. So, or the Martinez fight was 13 years ago and was always just on the fringes. Just opened so many doors because of his last name. But in reality, didn't really deserve to be in those fights. And that's 10 years ago. And you got Jake Paul, who literally just cannot fight. And I think if you watched Paulie Malignaggi, I think he hit it on the head. He spoke really well. He just nailed it. He said Jake Paul is good at either being on the offensive or somewhat being on the defensive. There's no in between. So he's not on the offense and then has a little bit of defense and then counters with his offense again, or the vice versa, on offense and goes offensive and then goes back on the defense within range. No, he's either on the attack or he's out of harm's way. There's no in between. And that just comes down to basic boxing IQ, boxing knowledge, and he just hasn't got it. Now, to be fair to him, he's had no amateur career, and that's fine. I'm not judging him on that. And I'm giving him credit for actually putting his balls on the line and getting in the ring. There's nothing about that. But don't pretend to be something you're not. Now, no, this is why I think he must, outside of doing all these interviews and his YouTube channel, that sort of stuff, he's sitting back home in his multi-million-dollar mansion with his feet up, probably with a cigar and a glass of red or a whiskey or something, laughing his absolute ass off at all of us out here who are all commenting about how much of a clown he is and how much a dick it is and how much he's a disgrace to the sport. And we're all doing these shows. We're paying the money to watch him. So who's having the last laugh? So while I think he's a clown and he's part of the circus, hey, like all circuses, we all pay to watch it, which is what we're doing now. So, yes, but under duress. But I will say I will never, ever pay to watch Jake Paul fight unless it's against Jai Opetaia, because I'm watching Jai Opetaia hopefully take him to the cleaners and absolutely rip him apart. But anyway, I don't think Jake Paul is that silly. I think he could probably see that Badu Jack he's been very inactive. On the downhill side of his career, was he in his 40s now? A lot of wars behind him. He could probably maybe see him as sort of beatable. You got Zurdo Ramirez. He's probably thinking, oh well, if we can work out the right arrangement, I might be able to snag this fight and get a belt and whatever it might be. He's not making any arrangements with Jai Opetaia. There's no favours given there, which is why I don't think he'll want a piece of Jai at all. So, but let's hope we get an opportunity to see it. On one hand, I'd much prefer Jai Opetaia to say, stick your fight with Jake Paul. I'm going to wait for David Benavidez to come up and I'm going to fight him instead. But of course, it is business again. It's all about the money. So you couldn't begrudge Jai for taking the money. But I'm really hoping he just tells Jake to piss off and lose his phone number. All right, Naz. Once Parro found his distance, he dominated from that mid-range. We haven't spoken about last week's fight, have we? No, it was last Wednesday, of course. I'm just wondering why we're getting so many comments about Liam Parro. Of course, we didn't, or we haven't had a show since then. Once Parro found his distance, he dominated from that mid-range. It was sad to see so many empty seats, even for the main event. If Parro was a Brit, then that place would have been sold out. Yeah, and it was interesting, wasn't it, Naz? Because I must admit, watching the telecast, the first thing I was looking at is the crowd, because great stadium. It was in Parro's hometown. Is that where he's from? Around those parts, Cairns, Townsville, wherever he's from. A lot of support up there. I expected the place to be packed. Let's not forget it's a Wednesday night, by the way, and even though it's up that way, it's still free on Foxtel. Cold night, midwinter, school night, whatever it might be. So maybe that had something to do with it. But I'm with you there, Naz. If that had been in Britain, there would have been 15,000 people there if it had seated 15,000. It's a difference between us and the Poms. I don't understand it sometimes. You get a really good game of footy, whether it be NRL or AFL or whatever, and they'll pack the joint out for a good game. A concert, they'll pack it out for a concert. You put a really good night of boxing on, and they just don't turn up. No wonder the main promoters are saying, yeah, do we really need to, the Australian market? Because we just don't turn up. So we will occasionally. Look, when it comes to, I'm sure, with Tim Tszju's fights, even though I will say with Tim Tszju's, what fight was that last? It was the Brian Mendoza fight. I was up on the Gold Coast. And I think that only holds about 5,000 people. There are a lot of empty seats there as well. Now, it was a Sunday afternoon, but I remember seeing a lot of empty seats there. So unless it's those once-off sort of mega boxing events, like, I remember the Zoo Harrison fight was packed out. That was great. George Kambosos against Devin Haney and those types of fights. Of course, Jeff Horn and Manny Pacquiao. But just for these normal, everyday sort of big fights, they just don't turn up, Naz. And again, maybe it's the Wednesday night thing. I don't know. But it is frustrating that Aussie boxing fans just, sort of don't put their ass where their money is. Does that make sense? Where they turn up and sit in a seat with their ass? You know what I'm getting at. Anyway, I think I got that back to the front. Whatever. Let's move on before I dig my deeper hole. Naz, watching Wilder fight is 45 minutes of my life I'll never get back. Yeah, you and me both, Naz. No way he makes it to the top. Current second-tier guys like Huni, Otoma, Cabiel, Wardley, Torres all stop him in his tracks. It was sort of sad, Naz, and look, I don't know. It was obvious that they'd been working on a few things. He was trying to sort of pop the jab a bit more. The problem is that even as limited as what Herndon was, that when he was sort of slipping the jab and coming back, trying to counter Wilder, you'd see he went back to old habits and his chin would go up in the air and he'd go back in a straight line and he'd sort of panic and sort of balk and, it's sad. Now, if he fights those types of guys, and maybe he might land a big fight with one of the champions, or maybe it's Anthony Joshua. I mean, maybe that's the sort of fight he'll go to because it's a big money fight. But geez, I'm with you there, Naz. Any of those guys you listed there will make absolute mincemeat of him. I think Otoma, Wardley, Torres, all stop him inside the distance. Maybe, yeah, Cabell probably too, and Huni, yeah, I would think so as well. So I'm into there, Naz, but again, it's just sad to see a fighter as limited as he was as a champion. It's just been highlighted even more, and it was a shocking fight, wasn't it? It really was. All right, we're sort of going back a bit here. Sorry about this, guys. Evening, everyone. Parro is the best pure boxer on No Limits books. Watching Wilson right before Parro showed the difference between a fringe world level fighter and a genuine world class one. Yeah, look, no getting around that, Naz, that Parro is the real deal, and it's fantastic that he's not a one-hit wonder. He'll get another shot at a world title and possibly will win it. Just a very, very good boxer, good fighter. Yeah, look, in comparison with maybe Liam Wilson before him, yeah, I mean, there was a stark difference between maybe the quality, but I thought Liam was okay. I think he's, Parro's the absolute elite of the division. Liam's probably, the bottom end of the top 10, top 12, wherever it might be. So, of course, there's going to be a little bit of difference in levels, I suppose. But I still think Liam's good enough to win a title if it's against the right guy. So, I mean, looking at the 130-pound fighters at the minute, the champions, you got Eduardo Nunes. I think he's beatable. He's got the IBF belt. Liam is currently ranked number 3 by the IBF and maybe goes a little bit higher on that win, or based on that win last week. Lamont Roach and Sharky Foster I'll probably keep away from at this stage. Not that he's ranked with them anyway. And Navarrete showed he can go with Navarrete. So, yeah, look, I'm not going to say that Liam Wilson is on the same level as Liam Parro, but I still think he's good enough to win a world title if it's against the right guy, Naz. But Parro is just exceptional. I'm with you. He is probably arguably the best fighter on No Limits books. I'll just let the Tim Zoo supporters pick themselves up off the floor after I said that, but I think he could be. He's a very, very good fighter, is Liam Parro. All right, dry turkey. After watching Zurdo slow, lethargic hand speed, those massive love handles, it's hard for me to believe that that's the guy going to take out Jai Opetaia. Only shot I see is somehow Zurdo suffocates Jai late. Yeah, I just don't think Jai will make the same mistake he made against Breedis there, Turkey. I think that he will build up a big lead early on in the fight, and I think Zurdo will come at him late, but this is not Breedis we're talking about. I don't think Zurdo is as good as what Breedis is. And remember, Breedis was a big, solid, established cruiserweight. Zurdo is a blown-up super middleweight. And you're right about the love handles and all that sort of stuff. So I just don't think that he's going to be able to get to Jai like Breedis did. I just don't think he's got the gas tank, if I'm being honest. And I just think Jai gets better and better every fight. Zurdo's not getting better. Jai is. And I just think I was going to say it's easy work. No fight's going to be easy against Zurdo Ramirez. I just think it's going to be a pretty wide decision win from Jai Opetaia. A few people picking Mills Lane as the referee. How good was he back in the day? He's only a little fella. He's only about 5'5", but geez, he had a presence about him. All right, Drew. I struggled through watching the highlights, or should I say lowlights, but I had a 97% certainty that Chavez would turn up for the money and completely bomb. I was with you, Drew. So I snuck on at one stage and I watched, is it Showbiz, the YouTuber? Really entertaining he is. I love the way he goes about it, Showbiz. Is it Showbiz the Adult or something he's called? Whatever. I just happened to bring up, I was on YouTube and it come up and I was listening to him commentating it and the way he was, not that he was commentating, but the way he was calling the fight and calling out some of the highlights or lowlights, as you say there, it didn't go any different whatsoever to the way I thought it would. I thought, like you, I thought Chavez would strictly turn up and put in the exact performance that he did. After I watched it later on yesterday afternoon on YouTube, thought this is exactly the way I called it. I know a lot of you out there would have been exactly the same, but it was like he's going to turn up, he's going to be out of shape, he's going to be lazy, he's not going to push the pace on Jake. Jake's going to be able to stand at the distance and just do what he wants. And then maybe he might put it on a little bit late just to save a little face. And abracadabra, that's exactly what happened. So I'm sure a lot of you would have called it exactly the same, but it was almost, should I say, written to a script. That's the way it looked anyway. How could you throw, look, was he throwing more than 5 or 6 punches around? It was comical. I mean, we all got stuck into the guys from a few weeks or a couple of months back, whatever it was, on the Riyadh cards not fighting. Well, geez, is it now a trend? Is it now the thing that fighters don't punch? They go through the motions for 10 rounds or 12 rounds and take the paychecks and go home. I don't know, but Chavez seems to have taken a lot from watching the Devin Haneys and Rolly Ramirez and Ryan Garcias and William Schools of the world, hasn't he? So just a disgraceful performance. It really was. I know it's nowhere near as big a payday, but would Mbili be a better fight to watch versus Canelo than Eubank Jr.? In my opinion, yes. I think it'd be entertaining against Mbili Naz. I watched the fight the other day, or the replay of it on YouTube later, and look, he got an impressive knockout in Billy. I just think he's far too basic to give Canelo any problems whatsoever. Look, he's tough. He can punch. I just don't think he's going to get that opportunity against Canelo. Canelo is way too smart. He's got great defense. I'm just not sure whether Mbili has got what it takes to really get to Canelo. I think Canelo would just see him coming because he comes straight at you in a straight line. Doesn't really move. Oh, he does, I suppose, move his head a little bit, doesn't he? But he looks for the uppercuts and hooks, and Canelo will be able to see them coming a mile away. I don't know. I'm probably going to lean with Eubank Jr. Naz. I just think Eubank Jr. is a hell of a lot better fighter than what Mbili is. And I suppose if you put it down to the crowd as well, I'd much prefer to see Canelo fighting Eubank Jr. in London than I would him fighting maybe in Canada. I don't know. But, yeah, if I had to pick one, I'm still going to go with Eubank Naz. I just struggle to get excited about Mbili, if I'm being honest. Aaron Bonanno, Sydney. Hi, Aaron. Back for my third session. Jake Paul called out an Aussie. I heard Matt McCormack. Okay. I didn't see that, Aaron. Who is Matt McCormack? Let me know. I have no idea who that is, but there you go. What's that, Eminem? You've changed your backdrop. Yeah, I have actually, mate. Here, my wife actually did this. She found we're at our warehouse where we've got our stock and our office and all that. There was a box up top, and she was up there doing something, and she found a box, and it had about 10 of these gloves in it. And you can see there, that's Manny Pacquiao, Mayweather, and that's the Mayweather-Pacquiao glove. And I actually bought those at the fights, at that fight in Vegas back in 2015. So they've been sitting in a box for 10 years. I forgot I even had them. There's a few more. We're going to put one there. That picture there is actually sitting on a shelf. It's not actually nailed up. We had some more there, but it just wasn't in the right spot. So I had, what other ones we got over there? There's just a few of the other fights I'd been to. I got in this habit of every time going to the fights in Vegas, I always bought the gloves. And I had a heap of them. I've got a heap of memorabilia like that one, all with my ticket and the gloves and all that, but they're in my gym at home. So they're all around the room. But I always bought the gloves. And with this in mind, actually mount them up properly. But my wife found them, and she bought the boxes for them and put them on the shelf there. And eventually we'll get this one done as well, I suppose. But it just looked a bit bare, I thought. Eminem at the back there. We had the this picture, the Hatton and Pacquiao picture, and of course the light at the back. But this looked a bit bare, so we did this just to fill it up a little bit. So I hope you like it there, guys. All right, 8 punches through 8 rounds. Lol, the dude's a joke, says Drunken Boxing. That's talking about Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Dry turkey. I'm not the biggest Devin Haney fan, but for him to try to get a TO fight and now he's fighting Norman Jr. in November, who has been icing guys, is commendable. I'm with you there, Dry Turkey. And I give him a shot to win. I really do. Norman might be a big puncher, but Devin Haney is a very slick customer. I know he's been dropped a couple of times by Garcia, but I just think Garcia was almost like he had that kryptonite to whatever Haney had. I give him a big chance to beat Norman. I really do. I think at welterweight, being healthy, being strong, not having to waste away too much, I think he can beat Norman. Am I game enough to pick him? Probably not at this stage. But I think he gives Norman a really good fight there, Dry Turkey, and I'm with you there. Very, very commendable that he stepped up. He wanted to fight Tio. Tio, for whatever reasons he had, pulled out or didn't want the fight, and now he stepped up to fight Norman Jr. I think it's a very, very commendable thing by Devin Haney. What is it with these fighters too, with all their issues? Tio's just a weird cat. Ryan Garcia is a weird cat. Ramirez the same. I don't know what they're putting in the water these days over there in the States, but anyway. After the way both looked this weekend, I wouldn't be mad at Jake Paul versus Deontay Wilder. I'd actually pay to see that, Dry Turkey. It wouldn't be a bad sort of fight. Jake Paul would have to beef up a little bit, you would probably think. It'd be the worst fight you've ever seen in your life, but you'd be on your seat just waiting for something to happen. Is Wilder going to nail Paul, or is he going to be told not to lay a hand on our precious young Jake? Or is Jake going to be able to nail Wilder? I don't know. It would be pretty entertaining. Actually, I take that back. I wouldn't be anticipating that fight one bit. It'll be a shocker. Naz says he agrees with Turkey. Not a fan either, but Haney definitely takes them all on. Kambosos, Loma, Garcia, and now Norman. I'd watch him over Shakur any day. I'm with you there, Naz. Yep. Look, apart from his last fight, I think he's been okay. Look, just because you school somebody doesn't mean that you run. And I don't think he ran from George. Definitely didn't run from Loma. He actually outboxed Loma, which is something you never thought you'd ever see. Garcia, okay, he got nailed. But yeah, and he dominated Barboza. No, that wasn't Barboza. It was Ramirez, wasn't it? No, was it Ramirez? Ramirez. Jose Ramirez, yep. I'm full credit to him, Naz. And this is the thing. And look, I suppose you've got to give Shakur Stevenson a little bit of credit as well by taking on a killer like William Zepeda. Well, maybe killer is a strong word, but you know what I mean. I mean, he's a beast. He's a fighter that's going to just come at him and really make him work for 12 rounds. So I commend him for doing that. I know he's mandatory and he has to fight him, but I think a little bit of credit to Shakur. But as far as this goes, like you said there, Naz, Kambosos, Lomachenko, Ryan Garcia, and now Brian Norman. Yep, you can't do much better than that. Dry Turkey. They used to have a show in America called Celebrity Deathmatch. Yeah, I remember that. Excuse me. It was on MTV. It had little clay characters and Mills was a referee. That's right, I remember that. I don't think we got it here in Australia, but years later I watched it on YouTube and the death match. Yeah, it was all animated, wasn't it, with the clay little models. Yep, I remember it. All right, Drew. I don't want to sound harsh, but when trying to sell Chavez Jr. and his lack of resume to pump up a fight, people always mention the win over Andy Lee, who has a threadbare resume himself, not a flex. Yeah, I'm with you. And in some ways too, Chavez Sr. is a little bit complicit in this as well. I mean, everyone obviously loves Chavez Sr. and respects what he says. And he said that Chavez Jr., best he'd seen him for a long time, was in shape, he was ready to go, he was going to shock everyone. And look what he dished up, which is probably why he was so harsh on Junior during the fight. But I didn't fall for it, Drew, and I'm with you over that win over Andy Lee. I mean, how long ago was that, by the way? A long, long time ago. And if we're basing it on that, geez. And I couldn't get over Jake Paul actually saying that Chavez Jr. was actually a great fighter. I mean, geez, talk about trying to pump it up. Shadow Boxer. Jai should have hopped in the ring after the Zurdo fight ended and demanded his shot. Well, I had heard rumours, Shadow Boxer, that was exactly what was going to happen. That Jai Opetaia would get in the ring after the Zurdo fight. Look, it wasn't through someone credible like a Mick Francis, who was over there, and I did actually get a press release from him today, actually. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. I'm assuming it's about the Zurdo fight, but would have been good. But look, it's not necessarily Jai's style, Shadow Boxer, but yeah, I'm with you that maybe should have been some levers pulled and said, look, we're going to get you up and just to be there, and at least we'll get people talking about it anyway. But I wonder what Jai thought of the Jake Paul fight. He probably left halfway through, I would think. Naz Chavez has been horrible since the Fonfara fight and largely before as well. Yeah, that Fonfara fight, Naz, I was actually at that fight. That was in LA, Carson, the StubHub Center, I remember. And everyone thought that he was gone after that fight, and here we are 10 years later, and he's getting another pay-per-view. Just crazy. Dry Turkey and Billy and Kid Austin with huge KOs. Muscle guys brought the heat. Yeah, I was pretty impressed with Kid Austin. I thought Schofield was really good, Dry Turkey. Look, he obviously caught Farmer cold, and I know it'll do a lot for his cred, a lot for his highlight reel. I'm not taking in too much from scoring a first-round knockout because fighters get caught cold all the time. Would have liked to have maybe seen it go a few rounds and really seen what he's got, but he's right amongst it now. I'm actually just looking at the rankings. So before the weekend, he was ranked number 6 with the IBF, number 2 with the WBA, and he'll probably go to number 1 now because Zepeda was 1, and he's obviously fighting Stevenson. Where is he with the WBC? Not ranked with the WBC. That's a bit shocking. He will be now because Farmer was ranked number 8. And not ranked by the WBO, which is strange as well. But he will get a world title shot soon, Dry Turkey. And depending on who he fights, he might be a good chance to win one. Do you think Tank would duck Kid Austin after what he just did to Farmer? He's second in WBA rankings. Yeah, I don't think so, Turkey. Davis has obviously got the rematch with Lamont Roach coming up. So he might have to fight Schofield. I'm still backing Tank Davis to beat Kid Austin, but be a good fight anyway. Be good to see. Yeah. Austin and Mason would be fireworks. Certainly would be. And what is Mason? He's fighting Noakes for the vacant WBO belt. Now, unfortunately, Schofield is not ranked by the WBO, but you never know after the weekend's fight, maybe he will be. Although Farmer wasn't ranked either by the WBO, so who knows. But would be a great fight, Turkey. I'm with you there, mate. Andrew Ryan. G'day, Lyndon. Not on Arvo shift, so I'm timed in, mate. Good stuff, Andrew. Thanks for tuning in, mate. And let's hear some questions or comments, whatever you got there. All right, Naz, Schofield looked great, but caught Farmer cold. Mind you, Farmer went life and death with Zepeda twice. Schofield was great in the post-fight also. I like him. Look, I'm not going to put too much on the fact that Schofield knocked out Tevin Farmer, and he went the distance twice with Zepeda. It just got caught cold. Zepeda, and look, Zepeda's not a massive puncher either. He's just one of those guys that really wears you down, just with volume of punches and pressure. Schofield's not really a big knockout puncher either. I just think he just caught Farmer cold. That's it. I would still back Zepeda over Schofield if I'm being honest. So, but yeah, I suppose if you want to draw comparisons, that's not a bad point. Was looking through the rankings, says Aaron. What could you tell me about Connor Wallace? I haven't seen him fight. I'm not super knowledgeable, but like a channel, more follow underground like Euros Poniros. Okay, I don't think I've seen Euros Poniros. All right, Aaron. Yeah, Connor Wallace, a very, very good fighter, mate. And I'm not sure whether you checked out the rankings. The problem is he's in a division that's just tied up for the time being by Beterbiev and Bivol and Benavides, the big three Bs. He's just going to be waiting a while for his chance unless one of them strip Bivol or Beterbiev wins and retires and all the belts become vacant. I don't know. But at the moment, he's ranked number 2 with the IBF. Not ranked with the WBA, but what else is new? Got a thing against the Aussies, the WBA. He's ranked 7 by the WBC and 6 by the WBO. Look, he's a southpaw. Aaron, he's just one of those guys that does everything okay. Punches well, boxes well, but always wins. I suppose the next question is, how does he go if he does get an opportunity at the World Champions? Look, I don't think he beats Bivol or Beterbiev, but look, he's such a marketable guy, such a great guy. Met him a few times. He's a really, really good guy, and he can fight, brings the crowd. But yeah, he's a good stand-up southpaw Aaron who does everything well. That's probably the best I can explain it. Boxes okay, punches okay, got good movement, good finisher. He is. But again, as I said, will he beat Bivol or Beterbiev or Benavides? I don't think so. But who knows? You might even have to fight those guys to get a shot at the belt. All right, Big J, what do you got, mate? All these Jai Opetaia fans that think he can KO Zurdo need to calm down and evaluate the situation. Zurdo resumes levels above Jai, and Zurdo has beaten not 1 but 2 champs for the belts, while Jai has only beaten an aging Breedis and literally got his face rearranged for his troubles. Plus, Jai's chin is still to be tested. Good points, Big J. It still doesn't change the fact that I think Jai Opetaia schools Zurdo. You're right. Zurdo might have a little bit better record than what Jai has. Has his chin been tested? Shit, it was tested, Big J. Had his jaw broken, and he still fought the last couple of rounds with a broken jaw. And as I said before, as far as his stamina goes, look, the only one that's really put the heat on him is Breedis, but I think Breedis would do that against Zurdo or anyone else he would fight. Yeah, I'm still backing our man Jai, Big J. Someone actually pointed out to me today, someone commented on, I think, the YouTube channel that yourself and who's the guy you're on with? The T Street guy, T Street Controversy, was saying that Zurdo knocks out Jai. I'm sure that I'm a little bit behind there. I'm sure the comments or the commenters have let you know their opinion, but mate, I just will not be changed, and I think Jai, or my mind won't be changed that Jai gets the job done quite comfortably. What's that, Julian? What was your regimen of making weight? Oh, okay. Probably a little bit, like today with a lot of fighters, a little bit archaic, I suppose, not with the modern science, I suppose. I fought at 67, Julian. I walked around about 73. So I was about 6 kilos. To cut a long story short, I was an amateur too, remember? So we didn't, not the pros with the way they do the weight, but I would make sure I was about no more than 4 kilos over at the start of fight week. By the night before weigh-in, I would be 2 kilos over. I would then do my last workout, jump in the sauna, and I'd go to bed on weight. And I'd get up on weight the next day. You wouldn't lose really anything overnight because your body's trying to retain everything. So in hindsight, Julian, considering the amount of weight some other fighters lost and are losing these days, and my height and everything else, I probably should have been probably a light welterweight. I always had thick legs though. That was always a real problem for me. I had really thick legs, which was good when I was actually in there, setting down on the punches and that sort of stuff. But in reality, by my body dimensions, I probably should have been fighting at 63.5 kilos here in Australia, or 140, is it? What's 163.5? Oh, sorry, 63.5. 63.5 times 2.2. So you may as well say 140. Yep. So same as the pros. So I probably should have been at 140, but I was 147. All right, what do we got here? Yeah. Thanks for sending that through. I just got a message from Ross. I'm sure you're in the chat there, mate. Ross Levitt, about Virgil Ortiz teeing off on Jake Paul. I did read it, Ross, and 100% agree with Virgil Ortiz. If you haven't, I won't read it all now. It's quite lengthy, but if you haven't read it, check out what Virgil Ortiz said about Jake Paul. Big J, do you also, hang on, you got a comment there. I was just going to say, do you think Jake Paul's a chance to beat Jai as well? You're not a real big Jai fan, are you? All right, I should fight Jake Paul next. I'm a 43-year broken down, beat up soldier. I'll be a fair opponent, but I won't follow his little script, and I'll beat the piss out of him for a few quid. Big J versus Jake Paul. You probably, look, yeah, I'm with you there, Big J. You make some good points, but Jake Paul. Can we just change the subject? Move on. Who you got there? Carlo Copetta. How are you, Carlo? What's the difference between me as a fan and Bedell as a journo with no ring experience? I reckon you should be in commentary on these major platforms. Cheers, mate. Thanks, Carlo. I appreciate that, mate. It's a little bit different between doing this than being live on TV. I don't know how I'd react, to be honest. I think I'd be okay, but you just never know. I've seen some of the commentators they've had, Carlo, and I reckon I'd go all right. Not necessarily as a commentator, but maybe expert comments, whatever you might want to call them. What's the difference between me as a fan and Bedell as a journo with no ring experience? Well, he's getting paid, Carlo, for his opinion to educate all us plebs out here who supposedly don't know anything about boxing. All right? That's the difference. He's getting paid to write about boxing and inform people what's happening and everything else. And he does an okay job of skimming the surface. You as a fan, you're not getting paid. So you can say whatever you want, Carlo. But, that again, I'm not going to badmouth Peter Bedell. I just think there's better people out there than him who actually are heavily invested in the sport. I mean, there's some really good journalists who maybe aren't even on YouTube channels or on Foxtel or Main Event, whatever it might be. We've had them on here. We've had Daniel Smart and Anthony Cox, two excellent journalists, boxing journalists. And if you've followed this channel, you've probably seen them on the Fight Week videos that we've done or the episodes that we've done. Now, they know their boxing. So I would 100 out of 100 times read what they're writing over Peter Bedell. He's just employed by whatever, the Associated Press, whatever it might be, just to give a basic overview of what's going on. But you know what? I don't want to hear the basic overview. I want to hear an in-depth sort of column about what's happening. I want to hear everything that's going on, not just someone that's just watched a few YouTube channels or interviews and can write an article based on it. I don't want that. But obviously the mainstream out there do fancy that. That's who they're marketing to. So that's why Peter Bedell fits the bill. But again, I'm not going to badmouth Peter anymore. I've actually watched a little bit more of him recently, and I think he's scaled it back a little bit as far as him trying to be too knowledgeable. He's sort of staying in his lane, I suppose, is the best way to describe it. So he's actually been okay. Would I prefer others in front of him? Yes, but I'm not going to lay the boots into Peter this time. All right, Johnny Durag. How are you there, Johnny? Jai Opetaia's father is Samoan. Teramona's father is from the Cook Islands. Neither are from Australia. That's their fathers, Johnny, but both boys, I think, have Australian mothers and were born in Australia. So they are Aussies. Johnny, 100%. So, which is why I got no dramas with either of them having the dual sort of heritage and the flags and all that sort of stuff. The only thing I will draw the line at is what anthem you're going to have. I think if you're born in a country, regardless of your sort of culture, you play the anthem of your country of birth and your origin and where you live. That's what I think too. But no dramas at all with either one with the flags and everything else. I have it. I knocked my drink over there. And everything else they do it as well. So Naz doesn't agree with Big J. I think Jai's feet make the difference. I agree. I don't think he can KO Zurdo, and do worry about how good Zurdo is late. But if Jai fights smart, I think he gets it done. Yeah, make no mistake. I've never said the fight will be easy. I just think the scorecards will be wide. So just like the Breeders' fights, Jai will win comfortably on points, but there's no way Zurdo is just going to allow himself to be outboxed without a fight. He's not Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who's just going to allow himself to be dominated for 12 rounds. He's going to go out swinging. So I'm not saying it's going to be an easy fight. I just think Zurdo's not going to get close to Jai until the 8th or 9th round. By that stage, I think it might be too late. But either way, let's just hope we get the fight. All right, an older Breeders is still a better win at cruiser than Zurdo has. Breeders was the number one guy at the time. Good point, Shadowboxer. We're forgetting or maybe Big J's forgetting that Zurdo is a 168-pound fighter, went to 175, and then obviously at cruiserweight now. But he's not a natural cruiserweight, even though he has said he's thinking about going up to heavyweight at some stage. So, but I think the fact that they are both at cruiserweight, and I think Big J said about the resume, Zurdo's probably got a better resume than Jai, but they're at a lot lower weight. At cruiserweight, Jai has the better resume, and isn't that all that counts? Because they're going to fight at cruiserweight. So, and not just once, but twice he beat Breeders. So, I think that trumps anything that Zurdo has done at cruiserweight. Drunken. Oh, is Liam's from Mackay, is he? Okay. All right, Eminem, the sooner Jake Paul gets a big fight for a title, the sooner he gets found out and flogged and the clown show will be over. Yeah, you're right, Eminem. And look, I did read an article the other day as well that they said, give him what he wants, give him his shot, and let's see if he can measure up. There's a lot of other undeserving fighters out there. To be honest with you, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I actually think Jake Paul would probably give Jai a better fight than what Claudio Squayo did. I don't know how the hell Squayo was in the top 15. I really don't in the world in the IBF. I have no idea. And even though I think Jai makes absolute mincemeat of Jake Paul, I think he could have probably got Squayo out of there in 1 or 2 rounds if he wanted to as well. I think Jake probably gives a better account of himself than what Squayo did. So, I mean, in some way, I hope that Jai doesn't fight him. On the other hand, I do. I'm sort of hoping that maybe, Ramirez is the one that gets his hands on Paul and just gets rid of him. And maybe Jai says, I'll fight Benavides instead. I don't know. But you're right, Eminem. The sooner it happens, the better. And we'll be done. And you'll realise the old adage, there are levels in the sport. And you're about here and everyone else is up here. Naz, as a boxing fan, it's not what I want, but as a dad, I can't begrudge Zurdo if he takes the Jake Paul bag before losing his belts to Jai. I take it to ensure my family's future. Yeah, mate, I've got no dramas whatsoever if Zurdo says, hey, I know the Jai fight makes sense, but I'm probably going to get 3 times as much fighting Jake Paul as I am fighting Jai Opetaia. And he's at that stage of his career where he's got to be thinking of his retirement. I've got no dramas with it at all, Naz. So, yeah, if he decides to forego Jai and fight Jake Paul, you won't hear anything about it from me. It's a business decision on his behalf, so good on him. All right. Aaron, the reason we don't fill out arenas for boxing is because of the media coverage here. We talk footy every day on the news, radio, etc. UK has Talk Sport Radio every day talking soccer and boxing. Yeah, very good call, Aaron. And even if it does make the mainstream media, it's about 10 pages back behind it's football season, it's a football. If it's cricket season, behind the cricket and tennis and everything else going on. It probably falls a distant, probably 5th or 6th in out of all the sports, doesn't it, when it's actually there? You've got the football, rugby, you've got the soccer, you've got all sorts of different sports out there that are going to get more coverage than boxing. I know they've got the SEN network here. I know it's nationwide, but I listen to it here in Victoria, and it's supposed to be, they have talkback every day. So they do it all day. They'll do the morning session with Jared Waitley. People will call in. They'll do the midday thing with Dwayne Russell, where it's like 3 hours of talkback radio. And I don't think, well, actually, I probably could count on one hand, and it's supposed to be for all sports, by the way, but 99% of it's just football. I reckon I've heard once in probably the last 10 years of listening to SEN here in Melbourne that I've heard someone even mention boxing. Now, it's open phone lines. It's just, all right, you call, you get on. I think it's his catchphrase. Talk about anything going on in the sporting world. And I've heard one comment. I think it was when George Kambosos when George Kambosos won in America against Teofimo Lopez. Maybe there was one with Jai Opetaia as well. Maybe 2 that actually mentioned, hey, guys, it's all great with what's going on with the footy at this time of year, but did you realise that Jai's just won in Saudi Arabia and George has just won in the States? I reckon that's 2, maybe 3 times I've heard it over the 10 years. Just crazy. So, look, it is what it is, I suppose. It's one of those things, isn't it, Aaron? I think it is what it is, that unfortunately here in Australia, the boxing fans are just as passionate as everywhere else in the world. There's just not enough of us, and there's just too many. There's too many varieties here. You think in England, Aaron, that or whoever, everyone else out there watching that, I know it's all about football/soccer over there, and then they don't really have multiple different football sports. Like here, we've got two codes. It's AFL and NRL that dominate everything. Then you've got I suppose cricket's the same in both nations, isn't it? I don't know. I just think over there it just means a hell of a lot more to the public over there than what it does here. I mean, it's a distant 5th, 6th, 7th or whatever it is here in Australia as far as sports goes. We're over there, like you said, it's probably second behind soccer. So, I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, Aaron. I just think here this is way too much variety. And maybe, look, well, I was just going to say maybe we're a little bit more passionate over here about our football than what they are over there, but obviously that's not the case because they are absolutely fanatical about their soccer/football over there. So, I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, Aaron. Just different culture, I suppose. All right, Drew. For as bad as Wilder looks now, I think people completely overlook how damaged both Wilder and Fury became from their trilogy. Both guys never the same afterwards. Yeah, look, no doubt those fights took a lot out of both of them. Look, I just think in Wilder's case, it just simply came up against the elite of the division and just wasn't good enough. Yes, the Fury fights were wars, make no mistake about that. But I just think he was beaten by Joseph Parker because Joseph Parker was, apart from Tyson Fury, the only really elite fighter that he's ever fought. And then he came up against Zhang, who saw what Fury and Joseph Parker did to Wilder and said, well, he's obviously vulnerable. I'm just going to walk through him and knock him out. So I think maybe when Wilder was sort of at his peak, if you want to give him that credit of having a peak, maybe Zhang would have been a little bit more cautious about what was going on. I just don't think he respected Wilder at all. So I just think his limitations have been exposed and he's just fighting, well, his last 2 losses were just against fighters that didn't respect him and they just took it to him and beat him easily. The key to beating him is just backing him up. And even with Joseph Parker, even though it was on points, he just backed him up and backed him up and backed him up, put it on him, and Wilder just cannot fight going backwards. And Joseph Parker had the boxing IQ and defense and movement, whatever it might be, to not be nailed with the big right hand. And he made that fight easy. Zhang, on the other hand, just had no fear whatsoever of what Wilder had, was willing to roll the dice on the right hand, walk through that, and just knocked him out. So I think the blueprint is there now. You back him up, and you pretty much nullified whatever he's got. Bacon and eggs. Jai will smash him. I'm with you there, bacon and eggs. Thanks for tuning in too, mate. Julian, let's not forget, guys, that no cruiserweight fighter would fight Marius Brutus, only Jai Opetaia. Yep, and not once but twice, Julian. Good call. Eminem, Floyd Masson back in July 30th versus John Parker. Oh, he's back, okay, July 30th versus John Parker from New Zealand, Joseph Parker's younger brother. Okay, I didn't know that, Eminem. Good to see Floyd back. I love watching him fight. Yeah, he's got his limitations, but geez, when you pay your money, you get your money's worth. And I just hope they sort of look after him a little bit as far as the tough fights he's having. I mean, Joseph Parker's brothers, by all accounts, shouldn't be easy if he's from that family. But yeah, I hope they sort of bring him back gradually, Eminem, because he's been in a lot of hard fights, Floyd Masson. But very, very entertaining, and I always tune in when he's fighting, mate. No mistake about that. All right, Naz agrees, but do you think Wilder does as well as Fury against Usyk? Do you think Wilder does as well as Fury against Usyk? No. Usyk would just box rings around Wilder, I think, Naz. I don't think Wilder's got anywhere near the capabilities to land one on Usyk, and I just think that would be all one-way traffic, and Usyk would probably stop him in the middle rounds, I would think. G'day, Glenn. How you doing? I see a Jai versus Zurdo fight very much like Bivol versus Zurdo fight. Kiss just a bigger, nastier version of Bivol. Kiss just a bigger, nastier version of Bivol. You're talking about Jai, I'm assuming. Is that spell check there? I don't know, but I'm with you there, Glenn. Look, either way you look at it, I think Jai wins the fight comfortably. Bacon and eggs. Always said Showbiz the dope when I first. Is that thought? I always thought Showbiz the dope was the dope when I first tuned into him. Yep. Yeah, he's entertaining though, Bacon and eggs. You just got to take him for what he is. Hey, he's got 375,000 subscribers, Bacon and eggs. So I'll take what he's got any day. What are we at? 2,200 or something? So 375,000 subscribers. Amazing. It's I know how hard it is to build a YouTube channel, so I fully take my hat off to Showbiz. Obviously doing something right. Glenn, that Paul fight was an abomination. I had some girls spar tonight that showed more skill, fitness, and heart. Yeah, I'm with you, Glenn. We were speaking about it earlier. That it's almost embarrassing. Was embarrassing the fight yesterday, but I'm embarrassed for Jake Paul. Does he really know how limited he is, or is it going to take getting in with one of those good guys to show him for real? I don't know. I don't know whether he believes what he's saying, or maybe he does and is willing to cop a hiding for the payday and getting a shot at the world title. I don't know. I'm hoping he's just naive and doesn't realise how bad he actually is. I don't know, but either way. All right, Naz. Yeah, salute to Glenn. Just waiting for Batman to rock up and the show really starts. Yep. Usually in the last probably half an hour, Naz, they start. Mule, howdy. Do you expect with this phenomenal promotion that Bud Canelo will be the biggest fight since Floyd at Conor McGregor? Yeah, I think it'll be his big Mule. I was talking again to D-Style about this today, and we were talking about this very, very point. Will it be the biggest fight? Probably more so from Floyd and Manny, but I didn't ever mention the Conor McGregor fight. And you're right, that was probably behind Manny and Floyd the biggest fight of the last, or however long, of all time almost. I just think they've gone about it the wrong way with Bud and Canelo. Instead of focusing on all this bullshit with the push and shove and the trash talking each other, it's clearly manufactured. I just think they should have really focused in on the appeal of both fighters and the standing of both fighters, and really made that the selling point of how great both of these fighters are and how privileged we are that these two are actually going to fight each other. That's the angle they should have gone with this fight, and really build it around that narrative. These two, this is a once-in-a-generation event, once-in-a-generation fight. Tune in, because you might not ever see these two type of guys fight for a long, long time. Two Hall of Famers, first ballot Hall of Famers, two multi-undisputed world champions, and they're going to fight and really build a narrative around that, not just, oh, yeah, well, I'm going to knock you out and my resume is better than yours and here I'll push you and then you can shove me. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I just think they've really, so far anyway, really missed the boat on what this promotion should be about. Focus on their greatness, not their resumes or who pushed who or whatever. It's just a joke. So, but I think it will be Big Mule. I think once, hopefully they roll out the 24/7 type of lead up to the fight. I think once that starts to go, that's what will sell tickets, not this manufactured shit they're carrying on with at the moment. Glenn promises about his best behaviour tonight. Bacon and eggs. I'm 50, and I reckon I could have done better than Chavez. I'm with you there, bacon and eggs. Excuse me, I'll just have a drink there. All right. Glenn. Norman bullies Haney into late round stoppage. Devin defines weight bully. He's done nothing since moving up from 135. Well, he did win the 140-pound title, Glenn. Give him a little bit of credit. Did beat Prograis. The Ryan Garcia was a close fight. Beat a former world champion in Ramirez. I think he's done okay. He's done okay. But I get where you're coming from. Bacon and eggs. Wilder would KO him in one. This is Jake Paul. Yeah, probably. Ryan Gray. How are you, Ryan? Boxing has become WWE. Saddens me as a 50-year-old who has grown up seeing legit fighters fight the best. UFC and Dana White for me these days. I used to hate UFC 15 years ago. Much better these days. Good to see we're getting a few 50-year-olds in the chat, guys, because I'm around that mark as well. So it's good to be able to relate with fellow 50-year-olds about where they see the sport these days. Yeah, look, Ryan, I haven't gone that far than to pretty much switch to UFC. I'm not a big fan of it at all, but I do admire the way they run their organisation, the way Dana White goes about it, the way the best fight the best in all their title fights. I do appreciate that. And I do agree that boxing has become WWE. Again, I've mentioned this in the Walking Boxing episodes, that it's now the WBE, the World Boxing Entertainment, instead of the World Wrestling Entertainment. But there is still a line, though. Don't lose faith just yet. The Jake Paul side of things, he's the undisputed WBE champion over there. He is the undisputed champion. But that market is diminishing. We don't see or does it? I think they still do it on. Not that I watch it. I think they still think they do a lot of it with the MVP stuff, don't they? With all their YouTubers and celebrities and that sort of stuff. I don't know. I don't watch any of it. That's fine. That's over there. There is a place for that. I just don't want Jake Paul to cross the line as far as the real stuff goes. That's what really gets me going. But I think the other side of it is with the real boxing. These days, not the reality TV sort of stuff, he's still going pretty strong. I still think it's ticking along okay. Unfortunately, it's just getting overshadowed by the WBE, which I don't like. But I'm with you as far as admiring the UFC. They do a great job, and a lot of the boxing promoters could certainly learn a thing or two from them. Drew, although there appears to be a complete lack of chemistry between Canelo and Crawford in the lead up to the fight, I am genuinely intrigued by how the fight will play out. I'm with you, Drew, and that's what I said. They should be focusing on the fighters themselves, because I'm with you. I've said all along there is no chemistry. And someone said, "Oh, what defines chemistry?" Well, it's when you get them both together, and they just go together. It's like yin and yang type of thing. They just, like Mayweather, Pacquiao, Hagler, Leonard, Ali, Fraser. They just go together. These two, it's like two magnets. That's what it reminds me of. It's like two magnets trying to put them together, and they just keep pushing apart. That's what these two remind me of as far as the whole build-up thing goes. But I'm just hoping, like you say there, I'm intrigued by how the fight will play out. Once all this circus bullshit's over and done with, and we get past all the lead up to it all, and they've weighed in and all that sort of stuff, and it comes to the fight, I can't wait. I think it's going to be a chess match, and I'm really intrigued to see how the fight will play out. Will Canelo cut him off and cut him down and get to him in close? Will Crawford turn up and be able to carry the weight effectively? Will his boxing IQ outsmart Canelo? I mean, there's so many things about this, which is why I'm saying this is the stuff they should be focusing on. Maybe even use that as a promo sort of thing. How will Canelo handle one of the greatest boxers of his generation who does this, and just show highlights of Crawford? How will Crawford handle the beast that is Canelo and have him knocking out these guys? Watch it all unfold when two of the greatest fighters of our generation collide on September the 13th. Something like that. Focus in on that, where people go, shit, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. No, just see him push him. Yeah, what else is new? Page 6 of the boxing handbook. Walk up on your opponent. Page 8, section 3, shove him back. Page 13, section 7, cornermen get involved. This is the boxing playbook that we operate by now. I don't want to see that. I want to focus on the fighters, because I think we've got to have enough faith in our sport and our fighters and everything about our sport that will carry itself above all this bullshit that happens outside the ring. I just think the promoters of it, maybe the naive or inexperienced, whatever, are all focusing on all the circus sort of stuff. Have some faith in, especially these two fighters, have some faith in them that they can carry the event, and just them being themselves and being great fighters will carry this fight, not the push and shove and the insults, the manufactured insults at the press conferences. So that would be my advice to the people that are running this promotion. Let the fighters just be themselves. That will be enough. And focus on what makes them great fighters, and people will come. The eyeballs will come. Don't forget, too, it's on Netflix. They're going to have millions and millions of people watching this fight. So, so why worry about all this bullshit of what's happening? People are going to watch it anyway. It's free. So, all right, Naz, it's not quite 154, but 135 is solid. Moton, Mason, Shakur, Zapata, Tank, Andy Cruz, Schofield, Moratala. Some big fights to be made. Hopefully no ducks among them. Yeah, you nailed that there. Naz, so you got Shakur, you got Zapeta, yep, had him in there, yep. Who else is there? Probably no one else is there. I think you've nailed them all there. Yep, I'm looking at them now. Yeah, no one else really there. You've got, you've got Schofield. Yep, no, I'm with you there, mate. 154 still the division, but 135 is okay. 140 is okay as well. 140, 135 to 140, I suppose there's some really good fights that could be made there. I suppose the same could be said for 147 to 154 as well. Ryan, in saying that, looking forward to Canelo Crawford. Helps with Dana. They're promoting. Yeah, it just had a different feel about it, didn't it, Ryan? Having him there, I just had a lot of faith in Dana. I don't know faith in what, but just faith in the event. The Dana White there, running it like a UFC type of event, looked a lot better to me than, and I love these guys, by the way, Oscar and Eddie, standing up there with a silly smile on the face in between the two guys, trying to get involved in it in some way. Dana just loves, he puts the hand between them. He gets really in between the two fighters and really makes his presence known, but in a good way. So, yeah, I think having him on board is going to really help the event, Ryan. Good points about 135, really hotting up with a load of young guys, Glenn. Yeah, and that's the difference, isn't it, Glenn? A lot of young guys. Moratalia, Cruz, Stevenson. Stevenson's established, I suppose, there, but Zapeta, Mason, some really good young fighters coming up. So it's a pity that Keyshawn Davis wasn't still part of it, but it is what it is. He'll be involved at 140 where, geez, when he goes to 140, if you look at it, we're going to have Hitchens, we're going to have Russell. Let's just assume that Matias beats Puello. We've got Lopez. We've got maybe Garcia. We've got Parro. And we're going to have Keyshawn Davis. So, geez, some great fights to be made there. Mutzi. Opetaia will box the ears off Zurdo. Did you see the Tapuria KO in the UFC? His brilliant hands, that guy can punch. I'm a big fan of him, Mutzi. I didn't watch the fight. Well, actually, I did watch the fight on YouTube later. My son actually said, here, watch the highlights. I haven't got time to watch the freaking highlights. Well, the whole fight went, was it about 2 minutes? So I got to watch the whole thing. I really liked him, Mutzi, when he fought our man, Volkanovski. I remember saying after that fight, geez, this guy, I like this guy because he's a good boxer. And you don't see it very often in the UFC or MMA at all. Guys that can really use the hands well. I always just cringe. Oh, my God, the way some of the guys throw their punches. They telegraph it. They don't step out. They don't shift their body weight. It's all about the kicks and the grappling, which I understand is part of it, or major part of it. I understand it. But I always sort of see myself getting aligned with the guys that can box pretty well. And I'm with you there, Tapur. I wasn't actually aware that he was the guy that beat Volkanovski until I watched that fight, and my son actually said, "Well, he's the one that beat Volkanovski." And I remember thinking, "Yeah, I remember him. He was good, very, very good with his hands." So probably no reason why he's sort of starching a few of these guys, Mutty, because I've said all along, to be a really good MMA fighter, you've got to be able to use your hands just as well as you do your other stuff they do. And I just don't think a lot of them put enough work into it. He obviously does. So yeah, I'm a fan of him, Mutty. Guy can fight. All right, Eminem and Jalen Tate will now train fight under Fidel at Fight Club Gold Coast and no longer with his father as trainer. Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, Fidel, he's the one that had Crawford up in Queensland, didn't he? With Tassie, had him on or at his gym or something up there. And I think he might be putting in for the WBC convention as well up there. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, that's interesting, Eminem. That would have been very, very difficult for Jalen Tate, you would think, to leave his trainer. Or maybe it was a mutual decision. Maybe it was his father who said, "Mate, I've taken you as far as I can. I want you to go to someone like Fidel." Maybe, but either way, let's hope that Jalen Tate's back because he's an excellent prospect. Carlo Farmer obviously has neurological issues. Criminals see him in the ring. Heavyweight Makhmadov the same. That nervous tick a concern. Yeah, good point, Carlo. No one's really raised it up until now. I agree. I remember thinking the same thing as about Farmer. Yeah, well, you think now he's been knocked out in the first round, they'll probably force him to do some tests and to see whether he's able to continue. Eminem patiently waiting for Nikita Zarafa shotgun Tapia fight news. Yeah, well, Nikita is, August, same as Zarafa. Shotgun, I spoke to her last week. Stay tuned on that because she'll be fighting very soon as well. Might even be around the same time as Nikita and Zarafa, we'll see. But keep an eye on that one. Don't know much about Tapia, though he's with No Limit as well, isn't he? So he's been very quiet. Just going to quickly check his record while we're talking about that. Matteo Tapia. All right. Cesar Matteo Tapia. All right, 18-0. So hasn't fought since March. That was against Vorobev, won in the 5th round. So yeah, nothing planned at this stage, Eminem. You would think that he might even be on that August card as well. We'll see. But I'm with you. Let's keep him come. His fights coming. He's great to watch. Right. What's that? He had Tourette's. Okay, but that's not a career or anything, is it? Ado having Tourette's, I think it's manageable. It depends on sort of how bad it is, I suppose. Some have it very mildly and can still fight. Ryan, what do you think of the Island boys' boxing skills? Not sure if you've seen them fight. They look as good as our Blues at the moment. I have seen them, Ryan. And the scary thing is that they actually think they're pretty good. I've seen a little bit on social. I haven't really been on social media too much lately, but when I was sort of on it a fair bit, I did see some of their clips. Just their singing alone is probably bad enough, Ryan. But then I saw them box or attempt to box or whatever you might want to call it. Yeah, it was pretty laughable. But you're right, mate. I'd probably actually think they're going a bit better than our Blues at the moment, if I'm being honest, mate. So let's not talk footy, fair dinkum. Disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. Andrew, geez, I don't see anybody beating Jai at the moment. I don't either, Andrew. Bacon and eggs. I've been 82 to 83 kilos for the past 30 years. Not bad for a pisshead. That's very good, bacon and eggs. That's about my weight. I think I'm about 82, but I'm only 5'8". I'm not sure how big you are. So I'm about 10 kilos above what I used to fight at. I don't feel too bad, but it's really hard to get that bit of, what they call it, the paunch in your belly off as you get older. But I feel okay. But that's pretty good, mate, for being the same weight for 82. Being the same weight for 30 years. Very good. And you're right, for a pisshead. Drew, Tim Tszyu has kept a very low profile heading into the Fundora fight. I think this is a good sign, but make no mistake, this is a boom or bust fight. It is. It's a classic crossroads fight, Drew. If he wins, so many doors open up for him. If he loses, I don't know where he goes. I think the door gets firmly slammed in his face, especially at that really elite level. I don't think he'll make it back, especially at 30. Was he nearly 31? I think it's going to be really tough for him. So this is why there's so much so much riding on this fight. I'm with you there. I think he did a really good social media post over the weekend that I saw. I think it was his last post before he heads to the States. So I'm with you. I'm really thankful that he hasn't been as vocal as what he normally has been. I think he knows obviously the relevance of this fight. Of course, he's known the relevance of all his fights. I just think he realises this is make or break for him. And I'm really happy that he's going to get over to the States, 3 weeks before the fight, and pretty much just leave the Australian media behind. I'm sure they'll do the Zoom calls and all that sort of stuff while he's over there, but at least he can control that a little bit better. So, yeah, I'm with you there, Drew, and hopefully it all spells towards a big win for him on the 19th of July. How can your chin not be tested when the thing got broken twice and you didn't go down? Zurdo hits like a feather duster at Cruiser. Zurdo looked like a plotter on the weekend. Sorry, I'm with you, AI, or is it L? We'll call you AI. I'm 100% in agreement with you there, mate. Yeah, literally got his chin/jaw tested against against Breedis and come through with flying colours. So. And you're right. I don't think Zurdo is the same fighter or same puncher that he was in his earlier days. I just don't think he measures up against Jai. Johnny dragged Tim Zhu is Russian. No, he's not, Johnny. He was born in Australia. He's got Russian heritage, no doubt. Born and raised and lives in Australia, mate. He is Australian with Russian heritage, is the best way to describe it. Bit unfair to say he's Russian there, Johnny. Jai would destroy Jake Paul. Yeah, no shit, Big J. Jai would school Zurdo, but Zurdo has a hell of an engine, and Jai dies in the arse end of the fight. I really think it's a 50-50 fight, as Jai is still a little bit unproven. Yeah, no, I'm with you there, and he is a little bit unproven. Yep, no arguments there. I agree. 50-50, yeah, well, that's your opinion. I really think it's more like 80-20 if you ask me, but it's a fight. Anything can happen. Zurdo has got the experience, so we can't discount that. But I just think, like you said there, Jai would school Zurdo. No problems. What's it there? Sorry, I have the guy with the poodle on his head getting his hand raised against you for the record. I would cheer you on. That's Drew. Against top tier talent, and for my mind, Zurdo is the number one cruiserweight at the moment. Look, that's your opinion, mate. That's fine. Look, well, I don't know. I suppose if you go by, we can all have our own arguments and opinions and all that sort of stuff. I suppose in all aspects, though, don't we always just refer to the Ring magazine, who's the real champion? If there's any argument about who's what, the argument always sort of comes back to, well, check out the Ring magazine. They'll tell you who's the higher ranked or who's the champion. And Jai Opetaia is the lineal and recognised Ring magazine cruiserweight champion. So as far as that goes, that's enough for me, Big J. Not to mention, I think he beats Zurdo, as I've said 10 times tonight. But that's all cool, mate. That's your opinion. All good. Glenn says Jai absolutely beats Zurdo to a bloody mess. That's my opinion too, Glenn. Jai is from New Zealand, according to Jake Paul. Oh, yeah, someone actually sent me something about that today, about being New Zealand. Oh, I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. There you go. That's what he was talking about. Tony, Jess, Linda, Michelle, or even Madison are nice girl names. Curiosity wouldn't be my first choice, but they're each to their own, I guess. That's Nikita's young daughter. Yeah, very, very, well, excuse the pun, curious name, or curious reason to name your daughter Curiosity. Curiosity Zoo. Look, in this day and age, Tony, who are we to pass judgment? I can't. My kids are named after Johnny Depp and Sean Penn, so they've got really out there names as well, but Curiosity sort of takes the cake as far as the names at the moment. But hey, it's their decision. They can do what they want. Naz, Crawford is himself, and people say he's boring, acts different to sell a fight, and they call him cringe. What's he to do? If you want to hype yourself up for the fight, just watch highlights of he and Canelo. That's what I'm saying, Naz. I won't say he's boring, but I probably would say he's a little dull. I'm just calling it the way I see it. And you're right, acts different to sell a fight, and they call him, well, I think it is cringe. I think I more feel for the promoters or the organisers that put him in that position to sort of push him to do what he did. Or maybe he just took it upon himself to act that way. I don't know. Maybe he looked at the replay and went, oh, shit, that was pretty ordinary. I've got to pick my socks up a bit here, and decided to go at Canelo. Yeah, as I said before, I just think the way to sell the fight is focus on the positives and the strengths of both guys, and don't worry about all this tit for tat and trash talking and pushing and shoving. They don't need to do it. You never seen Hagler and Leonard do it. You never seen Manny and Floyd do it. So you didn't even see Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk do it. They don't need to. If it's a great fight, it's a great fight. It will sell itself. So this is what I'll be telling these guys. Just step back. Just let them be who they are, and then it'll all play out. And I'm sure once the lead up to the fight happens, everyone will be focused on this fight, and everyone will want to watch it. I'm so glad you mentioned playing the anthem of a fighter's origin. At the Opetaia and the Ika fight, there were 5 anthems played: Aussie, New Zealand, Samoan, Aboriginal, and Maori. I ended up screaming at the TV. Was there a welcome to country, Drew? I don't remember. I don't think there was. I was a bit busy that night. I was running around with my camera filming stuff. I didn't really take any of that in, to be honest, but I didn't realise there were 5 anthems. So you got the Aussie and Samoan for Jai, New Zealand for Niika. Who's the Aboriginal and Maori flags for? Because neither one of those guys are Maori. Or is Niika a little Maori? Is he a little bit of Maori heritage? Certainly not any Aboriginal in any of them, is there? I don't know, but anyway, I'm with you there, Drew. I don't like it. One anthem each, and let's get on with it. Anybody got a chance or get the chance to go back in time and watch a grouse fight? Ray Leonard, Donnie Lalonde, what a cracker fight. I remember watching that live, Tony, back in the day. Donnie Lalonde, I mean, they talk about building a fight up. This is the classic example. Now, Sugar Ray was Sugar Ray, just one of the greats. Donnie Lalonde was an extremely limited fighter, extremely limited champion, and he was picked for Sugar Ray Leonard. The super middleweight and light heavyweight belts were on the line at the same time. This is for the first WBC 168-pound title. Lalonde already had the 175-pound title, and this was an in-between one, so 2 titles at the same time. And what a knockout that was, Tony, eh? And Sugar Ray wound it up, and just a big right hand followed by a left hook, and that was it. Quick story for you, Tony. When we were in LA back in 2015 with the Twins for the training camp we had over there, we actually went to see a chiropractor who was Donnie Lalonde's brother. And we got to be really good friends with him. We still kept in contact via social media and all that sort of stuff. And he used to tell us a few stories about Donnie Lalonde or Lalonde or however you might want to call it. And it was a bit of a treat to have the brother of the Golden Boy work on. I think it was Andrew we worked on at the time. He was having a few back issues. So and a great guy. Donnie Lalonde's actually commented on a few of the posts I've put out along the line as well. Back when we had our promoting fights and stuff, he actually commented a few times at Donnie Lalonde. So it sounds like he's a nice guy. Eminem, I see Kamikayo has stated he's injured and can't fight for a while. Does anyone know the injury? No, I did see the post, Eminem, that he can't fight for a while. I don't know what it'd be. I have no idea, mate. But in between all his posts about his gym, he did mention that he can't fight for a while. Because I think he was looking at August at some stage, wasn't he? And that obviously is off now. So, and best of luck for your gym too, Kamikayo. If anyone can run a successful gym, it'll be this guy. So I'm sure he'll go fine. Peter, hi from the Gold Coast. SEN had a boxing show with Stephen J. Peake and Troy Zantuck, and along came Hutchie. Is that right? They used to actually have a boxing show. Wow, that's crazy. I think, don't they have is it the Who the Fuck podcast? Don't they get on SEN? I can't remember. I remember when we're doing our promotions, I got interviewed a couple of times on SEN to promote the fights. We had Will Tomlinson fighting and when the Maloney's were fighting, they got us on. Oh, actually, we had to ring them to get on there, but they put us on at about 11 o'clock at night or whatever it was. But, yeah, don't you think they need a boxing segment? I'll put my hand up. If Hutchie's watching, I'll happily be on there. I'll simulcast or whatever it is that my podcast to the studio. I'd do that. They need a boxing show. Or not just even boxing, a combat hour or whatever it might be, and go over the MMA and boxing as well. Wouldn't that be great? Have some call-in radio and all that sort of stuff. The problem is, though, is that, of course, footy absolutely, and cricket when it's on, dominates everything in this country. So until that changes, well, nothing changes, I suppose, does it? So, Justin, how are you, mate? Not sure Zurdo and Jai will ever happen. Zurdo, I'm sure, would be reluctant to fight unless forced to, and his management, knowing a loss would end future earnings. Yeah, well, I think the only way Justin, it's a good point. I think it will happen if Jake Paul decides not to fight Zurdo and goes down a different route. Well, I'm not sure which route he'd go down, apart from maybe Badu Jack sort of route. But if the Jake Paul and Zurdo fight doesn't happen, and Benavidez decides to stay at light heavyweight to fight Beterbiev or Bivol or Canelo, and there's no real other options, the fight will happen. I don't think it will happen if Jake Paul fights Zurdo. I think Jai will say, well, stick it, I'm out of here, and he'll go to heavyweight. So we will see. Shadow boxer. The Queensberry rules were invented in the UK. They have a long history. Australia, not even close. Yeah. We are cut from the same cloth, though, Shadow Boxer. We were formed from the Brits, or we evolved from the Brits. So I don't know, but this is about boxing being big over there and not here. I can't put my finger on it, mate. Even the small shows over in the UK, even for the real small shows, they packed them out. Over here, I remember, apart from family and friends, it was so hard to get a crowd. Just the general people who are boxing fans who just want to rock up. The funny thing is, it never used to be that way. You would have seen Uncle Ron in here a few times, and he told the stories about Festival Hall back in the day. No internet, no nothing, no social media, just in the Herald Sun every Friday or whatever it was, and every Friday or Monday, whatever, I think it was Friday night. Every Friday night at Festival Hall, they had fights there, and they'd get 2,000 to 3,000 people there every Friday night with no advertising. Everyone knew who was fighting. Everyone knew the matchups, and they'd get there early. There'd be lines down the street. And these days, I would struggle to get 1,000 people to a show, and that's probably being kind. Getting 1,000 people to a show, just crazy. Jules, evening all. Regardless of whether boxing gets the mainstream attention it deserves, I heard a quote recently that I loved. Every other sport is just a metaphor for what boxing actually is. Very well said there, Jules. By the way, how much did you pay for your zoo ticket? Prices are crazy and have me second guessing whether to go over for it. Mine cost me $1,500, Jules, which is more than what I wanted to pay. I haven't really had a good look. Maybe I'll mention it on Walking Boxing during the week. But yeah, mine cost me $1,500, but I paid the extra because it's a seat all by itself. I think I said this last week. It's one seat. I've got no one either side of me. It's right at the point of the grandstand, and I'm by myself right on the race where the fighters come in and out of, and I'm just sitting there by myself with no one beside me. It's awesome. I've had the seat about, I reckon, 4 times in the past, and whenever it's at the MGM Grand, that's the first one I go to. I've never paid this much, though, I don't reckon, for it, but either way. But yeah, $1,500, mate. But I'm pretty sure the tickets will probably start. Normally they start at about $300 or $400. I'm not sure, but let us know, mate, what you're looking at. I still go back and watch the Wilder Fury face-to-face interviews and press conference. Amazing chirp and entertainment. Fury challenging him to a body spar on the stage because he wanted to feel the power. That's how you build a fight up, AI, but that's Tyson Fury. Now, if that was anyone else, you'd probably think that's cringe. But when Tyson Fury did it, that's just who he is. Just be yourself, and everything will take care of itself. And even Deontay Wilder, he didn't pretend to be anything else either. He was the bomb squad, and the two of them, they had amazing chemistry together as well. They really bounced off each other well. So that's how you build up a fight. Boxing in a really good spot. Top 10, 25 years old or under, in my opinion. Moton, Pacheco, Ramos Jr., Emiliano Vargas, Schofield, Otama, Zayas, Norman Jr., Abdullah Mason, and Bam. Is Bam under 25? I didn't know that. Yeah, some pretty good fighters there, mate. Drew, not trying to be a killjoy, but I really hope Pacquiao loses badly to Barrios so he can hopefully retire. I don't want to see him continue to take unnecessary punishment. I think Barrios will win a 12-round decision, Drew, and then that will be it. I would hope. There is Batman in the chat. Speak of the devil. Andrew, 55, been a boxing fan for 4.5 decades. That's awesome, mate. Glenn just turned 60. Good. It's good to see the vintage out there. They know where I'm coming from. You guys will what's that there? You guys will understand where I'm getting at when I talk about how it used to be. So, Glenn, I just turned 60. Happy birthday. Okay, was it today or yesterday, Glenn? Let us know. Happy birthday. William, g'day to you. A few people not happy with Batman and Glenn being nice and civil to each other. All right. How does Crawford's resume stack up against Canelo's Batman? And yeah, that was obviously last week's little mini or episode within an episode. I'll let you guys hang on, Glenn. Dana White sucks. Come on, Glenn. I thought you started off all right tonight. Doesn't mean I welcome what he's doing with the TKO thing. I don't think it'll work, but I just like the guy. I just think he's good for the sport. Drew, I'm really hoping we get a Max Kellerman hosted face-to-face Crawford and Canelo interview like the old days. They tried it with Piers Morgan, but he was a pensioner conducting an orchestra. I'm with you, mate. I really hope they do that. I don't like... Look, Piers Morgan, I'm neither here nor there. I sort of agree with a lot of stuff he's done and said in the past. Other stuff I haven't. But he's not a boxing person. He might be. It might be a little bit like Peter Bedell here. He likes his boxing. He's a fan, but doesn't really know a lot about it. So I want to see someone like Max Kellerman, like you said there, Drew, who does know a lot about it, to get these guys together and let's have a proper interview with some proper questions asked. Dig deep into both guys, not just ask the obvious questions. That's what I want to see. They can do worse than Max Kellerman, though, Drew, that's for sure. Thought they must have stopped the Vegas Larfield fight. Did anyone else notice the fight ended 17 seconds early? I did notice that, William G. I think it might have actually been a couple of rounds ended early as well, so I'm not quite sure what happened there. Tony, Tapuria hits like a runaway train. Imagine if he changed codes and put on the boxing gloves. Yeah, but on the other hand too, though, Tony, a lot of people said Conor McGregor was a knockout puncher in UFC as well. He had a lot of knockouts, and then he put the gloves on and wouldn't bruise a grape. So, but I just think Tapuria, probably unlike Conor, who could obviously punch with the UFC gloves on, didn't really have a lot of technique and skill. Tapuria does. So you're probably right there, mate. He probably would go okay in the boxing ring. Good footwork too. That's the other thing a lot of people don't notice. I'm sure you guys out there like me, when you're watching those MMA guys, you're watching how they move the feet and the balance. That's the first thing I look at is the footwork. That can tell me whether they're a good fighter or not. Tapuria's got good footwork. Conor McGregor's got shocking footwork. So that's where the similarities end, I suppose. Peter, I'm tipping Fake Paul fighting Zurdo, who takes a dive. Okay, gets paid millions and retires. Fake Paul will never get Jai to take a dive, and he knows Opetaia will embarrass him. Yeah, good call there. Peter, you'd be pretty happy up there too, wouldn't you, Peter, with the pies at the moment? Just go easy on us on Thursday night or Friday night, will you? We've got enough issues at Carlton at the moment. We don't need a 100-point flogging from Collingwood just to rub it in. I must say I thought Bud was the boss at the press conference. Is that serious, Glenn? Come on. Outlaw Boxing Club. Salute, brah. Salute to you too, Outlaw. 2 weeks ago, we can't disappoint the crowd. That's Glenn's birthday. Fadil had gym close to ours in Maroubra. It was called Fight Club 2. I see he's doing good up there. Yeah, doing really good. Is Maroubra, I'm just thinking that's not, I'm thinking of the Bra Boys. What's that? Is that, that's something else, isn't it? So the Outlaw Boxing Club. Oh, here we go. What's that? I can't even pronounce your name there. Top 5 boxers of all time. Well, I sort of did this the other day with the Mount Rushmore question. I sort of asked myself a question without notice when I was doing walking boxing, who the top 5 or who I would have on Mount Rushmore. Excuse me. I would have Sugar Ray Robinson, Muhammad Ali, Floyd Mayweather, Henry Armstrong, Manny Pacquiao. What's that, Drew? Tourette's is handy for you if you want to double up the jab. Bacon and eggs, 172. Well, I'm 175. Okay, so we're about the same size. I've got 3 centimetres on you, but I'm about 82 kilos as well, so about the same. All right, Daniel. G'day, mate. Great show tonight as always. Thanks, Daniel. Some really cool fights coming up and interest in who you're picking. Catterall, Harlem, Eubank. Catterall for me in that one. Belunga, Shiraz. It's the other one, Shakur Zapata. Can't wait for these either, Daniel, because I'm going to be at those fights. Not the Catterall and Eubank one, but Belunga, Shiraz, and Shakur and Zapata. I'm going to go for Belunga to beat Shiraz and Zapata to beat Shakur. There you go. Don't really care, to be honest, Daniel. I can't wait just to be there. Tickets not really selling well, though. I looked again a couple of days ago. There's a lot of tickets for sale. It's way out in Flushing Meadows where the tennis is. I think I said last week, 25-minute drive out of New York to go and see the fight. So, but will be great. But yeah, I think my ticket for that was only about a couple of $100 too to go to that one, and I didn't get a bad seat. I don't like being on the floor. I just like being on the first tier up. That's always the best seats. I got floor seats for Tim's fight last year with Fundora. Got them actually at a really good price. So I decided to get down on the floor. Worst thing I ever did. You could barely see the ring, and better one tier up. So That's where I am for the Shiraz and Shakur doubleheader. William, there are great fights to be made at 154. Win, lose, or draw against the best doesn't matter as long as they put up a good show. Yep, 100%, William. People saying if Tim loses, it's over. As long as he puts on a good show, he has many good matchups. Yeah, look, that's not a bad point, actually. I've probably been very vocal in saying that if he loses, well, it's a crossroads fight, and if he loses, that's it. But you're right. I mean, if it's a really close, tough, hard fight and he loses a close decision, yeah, well, maybe it's not over and he can rebound pretty quickly. So, yeah, that's probably something to factor in. But could he come back mentally if he can't beat Fundora? I don't know. He might lose a disputed decision. Easy to come back after that. But either way, let's hope we don't come to that, William, and Tim has a good win. No, we don't want to see another bark-run result for sure. Check out Sky's opponent for the weekend. Let us know, Eminem. I did say she's fighting this weekend. I didn't say who she's fighting. Let me guess, not exactly in the top 5 pound-for-pound female boxers out there. Batman, can't wait for the rematch. First Zoo fight I've been to live and first time I've watched Manny live. Yeah, that should be awesome, Batman. Bill and Smith, who fought Zurdo and ran. What's that, Peter? CBS, who fought Zurdo and ran from Opetaia, yes. Pound for pound king there. Nice profile picture you got there too, pound for pound. Tony, Bud pushing Canelo was so rude. Why can't fighters take a leaf from a total gentleman in the lead up to fights like David Benavidez? All class and a pure gentleman. In fact, his entire team are angels. Exactly, Tony. Don't they speak well? So complimentary to everyone there, aren't they? Outlaw, I say no anthem. It just holds up the fight. This sport's man versus man. That's it. Most individual sport in the world. That's why it's the best and hardest. Yeah, not a bad call there, Outlaw. I don't mind. The anthem's probably just one outlaw being played before the fighters get in the ring. Don't make them stand in the ring and listen to the anthem. I saw it recently and it just doesn't. I know they used to do it back in the day, but the fighters get cold. Just get them out there and get on with it. Drew, the New Zealand anthem was sung in Māori. Okay. An Australian anthem was sung in Aboriginal. Reference to my earlier anthem post. Okay. Yep. Cool. Yep. I think we talked about that after the fight, didn't we? Probably a setup. They think that stuff sells fights with today's audience is corny. Yes, it is. Play the anthem for the country that you're born in. Yep, stuff the multiple. Yep, bacon, eggs. Yep, good call. All right, Travis. We plan to come and watch the Tim Zoo fight at your pub. Hope you're going to be there on the day. Unfortunately, I won't be, Travis. I'll be sitting ringside for the fight. Apologies about that. But yes, I will be at the next one, mate, I promise. So apologies, I won't be there for the fight. But by all means, call in and check out the KO Lounge. What's that, bacon eggs? Just walk in and punch on in a perfect world. Yep. Jake won't fight Zurdo. Jake is absolutely terrible. Yep, beyond terrible, Batman. I don't get why everyone keeps talking about Jake Paul or fake Paul. He loves it. Chavez turned up for a payday, full stop. Fight YouTubers, nobody's for that market. Yep. Well said, Carlo Copetta. Jake might fight Badu. That's the softest touch. Yeah. Yep. I hate to say it, but this country just never will get into this sport outside of the casual audience. Yeah, unfortunately, I think you're right, Outlaw. If they can't get right into it at the moment, they're never going to get into it. And unless your last name's Tim Zoo your last name's Zoo at the moment, it's very hard to get a look in. That's not Tim's fault, of course. But it's bizarre that George Kambosos, Jai Opetaia, Liam Parro, the Maloneys, none of them could get any traction with the press. It's disgraceful. Thanks, Batman. Looked at my seat. Yep, section 4, right at the end there I am. So, Nectar of the Gods. How can you forget that the show was on Nectar of the Gods? Should be on your notifications, mate. Hit the button or the bell or whatever it is. Get notified when I'm on. Don't do it again. I heard boxing was a bit bigger here back in the day. 100% it was, Outlaw. What's that? OG. Hey, listen, hope you're well. Is Big J a couple of cans short of a case? Well, maybe ask him, OG. Is he still here? I don't know. He's got an opinion, and that's fine. No problems at all. I speak to Big J every now and then, and that's fine. He's got a different opinion. That's what's great about having these YouTube channels. We can discuss it. What's that? Piers is a tool, but it was hilarious when he went at Jake. It was. And Jake, he handled it the way you would expect Jake Paul to handle it, and then did the big hang up at the end just to put an exclamation mark on it. Jake Paul is just a reflection of the boxing industry. He's been able to promote himself to the position he's in because there's not much proper regulation to police him out of it. Yeah. Well, end of the day, he's probably not doing any different to so many other fighters are doing, Jules, is he? He's just fighting. The difference is he's fighting very mediocre opponents, but he's just doing it on a big platform. That's all. Won't tell you my age, but grew up with these legends in surrounding suburbs. Craig Trotter, Diamond Dale, Dave Russell, Tony Miller, later on Stephen Marks. We were sport in Bayswater. I would think you would be in your early 50s, Tony, or late 40s, I would think, because I'm around those times. Well, I used to spar with Craig Trotter. Very good fighter back on the day. Sparred with Dave Russell a couple of times. Did a lot of rounds with Tony Miller. And Stephen Marks was on the state team at the same time as me, and we did a lot of rounds together as well. And Bayswater under Brian the Beer, one of the best gyms around when I was boxing was Bayswater. Jake is 28 and can't fight. That's it. Good marketing, but my eyes aren't lying. This Jake is awful. He's beyond awful, Batman. He's pitiful, I think is the best word for it. Peter, I'm on holidays. I'm back on Friday for the Pies and the Blues. Carlton's bandwagon is empty. Yeah, there's not many on there, Peter. But I tell you what, yesterday I put on my new Carlton, I think the Americans would call it a sweater. What do we call it? A wind cheater. I bought it with the blue out, I think they called it. It's got they wore the jumper against Essendon. It's just the outline of the logo. Well, I got a jumper. I think they had them discounted in the Carlton shop, so I thought I'd better grab one. Got my boys one each as well, and I put it on and wore it down to the shops yesterday, and I did it with pride. I'm absolutely disgusted in the way they're going at the moment, Peter, but I'm still a blue bagger and always will be. There we go. I was waiting for this one. I can't believe you had Floyd in your top 5. Yes, my top 5, Glenn. What's up, Peter? I think my wife had Tourette's. She keeps swearing at me. She might be a Carlton supporter, is she? It pisses me off that Collingwood are so good, Peter. I can't believe that I just wish Carlton were something like Collingwood are. Oh, it's so depressing being a Carlton supporter. Anyway, who else is on the Zoo Pac-Man card? That's a good question. I did look. Hang on, let me have a quick look. Hang on. I'll have a quick look at the whole card. I don't remember, if I'm being honest. Not that I really cared, if I'm being even more honest. Just there to see the two boys. All right. You got Pacquiao and Barrios as the main event. You've got Zoo versus Fundora as the co-main. Oh, that's right. Isaac Cruz and Angel Fierro, the rematch. That'll be a really good fight. Brandon Figueroa and Joet Gonzalez. They're the only fights they've got listed at the moment, but that's okay. We've got 46 rounds right there between 4 fights. That is enough. So that's about the time I'll be getting there, probably for the Figueroa fight. So, and then there for the rest of them. I used to get there really early for all the undercard fights, but it's a long, long day. It really is. Although I'll probably be about 45 degrees that day. So maybe being that the MGM Grand, the air conditioning might be the best place to be. Batman, I feel Team Zoo is extremely confident. Why else would they go in? Would they go in? Is there more to that? I don't know. Of course, they've got to be confident, Batman. I think I'm confident they'll get the job done. Sky's fighting this week in my city. Card is mediocre. Yeah. I haven't taken any notice, mate. Been a good show. Angelo still sucks. Oh, Canelo. I'm going to say Angelo. Who's Angelo? Hope you weren't referring to Angelo DiCarlo or Angelo Hyder. Both great blokes. Canelo. Still sucks. Okay. Oh, geez, we've only got about 5 minutes to go. Peter, I went to TV ringside as a kid. It was sponsored by Courage Beer. I don't remember Courage Beer. Drew, I actually think Australia could break the invisible boxing barrier if we could get a legitimate heavyweight world champion, not some interim belt. Yeah, maybe that's a good point. I don't know. you would have thought that someone like Tim Zhu would be that guy, Drew, and to some extent, or to a lot of extent, he is. The problem is that when he's not fighting and not doing well, the bottom just falls out of the sport here, and no one gives a shit. Yep, 50 is around the corner. Yep. In the UK, we call it a jumper or a top. Yeah, we call it a jumper here too, mate. Well, it depends. A jumper is a woolen sort of jumper, isn't it? A wind sheeter is made of fabric. Of course, you got the hoodie. In the States, what is it? A sweater. Oh, Peter. I watched you on the Jumper Punch show with that Nuffy Rocco and his delusional crew. Yeah. Did you see me punch him, Peter? The host of the show, Rocco, got me to hit him with a body shot. And sometimes you got to be careful what you wish for. I didn't hit him that hard. But I didn't know you watched that show, Peter. There you go. It's entertaining. For us Carlton supporters, Peter, it's very therapeutic to listen to other people bag the hell out of them. Cruz, Fierro, Brandon, Figueroa, Picasso. It's not Picasso, is it? No, unless it's changed. Oh, sorry, Picasso's fighting Inouye in December before they both win. Okay. How's the pub going? Yeah, not too bad, mate. Always gets a bit quiet around this time of year with the weather. We had a pretty dismal turnout at the UFC yesterday, which is disappointing, but it is what it is. First bell, Batman. Good stuff. It starts about 3 o'clock, I think. I get that it might be a cultural thing, but for the love of God, I really wish people would stop referring to Turkey as His Excellency. You can tell he absolutely loves it. Yeah, I won't call him His Excellency, Drew. He might be His Excellency in Saudi Arabia, but to me, he's just Turkey, the Sheikh, whatever it is. Listen to SEN every day. Yep. How many past boxers from other backgrounds had multiple anthems? Not many, mate. Mundine, Gadalari, Famishine, Rose, we're Aussies at the end of the day. Yeah, I'm with you, mate. I'm with you. That's what I said before, Carlo. Just play the Australian national anthem. If you're fighting here, play the national anthem. That include. I don't think Matteo Tapia or any of those guys. Not that he's probably fought in the main event. He hasn't played like the Mexican anthem, does he? So I'm worried about the heat a bit. Never been in July. I've been in June and July, Batman, and it is bloody hot. It is extremely hot. Well, at the moment over there, it is. I'll have a quick look. 42 it is today over there. And it'll be 42. Hang on, let's have a look. Yep, it's either between 40 and 42 every day for the next 2 weeks. When am I there? Or when are we there, actually? It's not quite at that point yet, but it'll be in the 40s every day, Batman. So keep a lookout for that. The best place to go, Batman, is in the casinos, obviously. But the MGM has a really good betting lounge to bet, when they have all the screens and you can just sit on the couches and sit there all day and bet. I've done that a few times and just sat there in a nice air-conditioned room and got my drinks all day and just chilled all day. Don't get out in the heat during the day. You won't last 5 minutes. It's not good at all. Yeah, hang on. We'll go to I've just got a couple of comments to go through there. I think we're almost there. Courage Brewery. Tim is that guy. The get back. Let's go, Tim. Yes. The skivvy. Yes, the skivvy's great for you. People still wear skivvies, bacon and eggs. I know you got the long sleeve shirts, but skivvies. Geez, I don't reckon I've worn a skivvy since I've been about 5 years old. But anyway. Yeah, he's a pom, Glenn. He's a pom. I thought you're Aussie. Thanks, Ross. The MGM Sportsbook. Yes, that's right. You were there. Was that the Jeff Horn fight? I think it was, wasn't it? When he fought Crawford, and we stayed across the road at the Hooters. It's now called the Oyo, and it was just literally straight across the road. We just sitting in that MGM Sportsbook, and it was absolutely perfect. One of my best friends ever now lives in Perth. He's been back and forth the last decade. And there's our first super chat from Andy. Thanks, Andy. Appreciate it, mate. $10. Sorry, way late. Was managing a fire. Jesus. Congratulations to all the winners over the weekend. Subscribe, share, and smash that like button, please. Thanks very much, Andy. Tim can win if he fights smart and doesn't get reckless. I agree, Peter. All right, last comment. Combat Oz. What's more impressive about Ilya Topuria is he was doing grappling jiu-jitsu as a kid. Didn't take up striking until 19. Very impressive and fists with TNT. I said before, Combat, very, very good with his fists, and that's why he'll go a long way in MMA. What's that, a Canelo loving Pom? I have a week to work on that. Horn fight, it was 44 one day we were there. It's just crazy. Every day it was in the mid-40s. It was just, that was, what was that? It was like mid-June, I think it was. So this will be, mid-July, but it will be bloody hot. So anyway. All right, guys. Well, having said that, we will call it a night. As always, really appreciate everyone tuning in. Don't forget, every morning is Walking Boxing. This Wednesday from 7 p.m. will be Aussie Dream Fights. Aussies versus Aussies. Now, at the moment, I'm putting them all together. I was looking to do a past versus present format, so getting maybe 10 of the best of Australia's best boxers at the moment and matching them up with fighters from yesteryear. But I'm just struggling to come up with some really, or the best matchups. There's a couple of maybe that might be perceived as a little bit one-sided, but if not, I'll just put just normal Aussies against other Aussies, depending on, with no regard to what era they were from. But anyway, keep a lookout for that if you are an Aussie boxing fan. So, and then, of course, next Monday will be our last show before I head over to the States, and I'll be doing all the daily vlogs from over there and keeping you up to date and bringing you along with me on the trip to New York for the two fight nights over there, the girls at Madison Square Garden, and then the Shiraz Belunga fight in New York as well, and then over to Vegas for the Tim Tszyu fight. So what's that? Rousel versus Tszyu. Not bad. I didn't actually think of Justin Rousel, Glenn. I think I might have had Liam Parro against Costa Tszyu, which might be perceived as maybe a bit lopsided. But anyway, here's another one. I've got George Kambosos and Michael Katsidis is another one as well to look out for. But I'll put the fight on Instagram tomorrow, and you can vote and let us know your thoughts. And better yet, tune in on Wednesday night to give us your opinion. So guys, have a great week, and we'll catch you next time on Talking Boxing.